Okay then, that was our lineup on the show, and as promised, this is the all-new Gionee Elife S5.5. But before we get into a full review of this new smartphone offering from the house of Gionee, let's take a look at its specs first. Gionee Elife S5.5 sports a 5-inch Super AMOLED capacitive display with a screen resolution of 1080 by 1920 pixels up front. And under the hood, it is powered by a 1.7 GHz octa-core MTK processor backed by 2 GB of RAM. The operating system is Android 4.2 Jelly Bean with Gionee's Amigo UI. Internal storage is 16 GB and the smartphone supports a micro SIM card. The primary camera on the Gionee Elife S5.5 is a 13 megapixel autofocus camera with LED flash, and the front snapper for taking selfies is a 5 megapixel one. There is also a non-removable lithium polymer battery with a capacity of 2300 mAh, and the Elife S5.5 is priced at Rs 22,900. Alright, those are the specs on the all-new Gionee Elife S5.5. So let's dive straight into its review. Now, design-wise, this device is definitely one good-looking smartphone. And Gionee says that this is the thinnest smartphone in the world. With a thinness of just 5.5 millimeters, it is definitely a sleek-looking smartphone. And thus the naming as well, S5.5. Seriously, technology companies should come out with better names for their smartphones. Anyways, barring that, this phone definitely looks premium to hold. It has a nice glass back panel finish to it, and up front it's dominated mostly by its display. Overall, this definitely has a good premium feel and finish to it, and one of the better looking smartphones for the price tag that it has to offer. Overall, the S5.5 is lightweight and grips very nicely in your hand, barring one thing, that it is a fingerprint magnet at the back, especially by the use of those glass panel back finish that it has to offer. But design-wise, definitely Gionee Elife S5.5 is on the money. Now, it offers you pretty decent color reproduction for the price tag that it has to offer, but not one of the best smartphone screens that you will see. But in the price range that this smartphone is in, it is definitely one of the better screens. Of course, it's a bit reflective under direct sunlight, so at times it is difficult to read text messages or even watch videos under direct sunlight. But nonetheless, this is one decent smartphone display on the Gionee Elife S5.5. Now, the camera on the Gionee Elife S5.5 is a 13 megapixel primary camera that is pretty decent enough. And for the price tag that it has to offer, a 13 megapixel camera performs decent enough and clicks good images when the scene is nicely lit. But what about low light imaging? Well, like many other smartphones in this price range, it is a bit of a disappointment. The low light imaging is not that brilliant on this one, but to help you out with that, Gionee is also provided with an LED flash on it. But then again, the throw of the flash is not that great, so you don't get those detailed low light images that you wish for every single time. Now, that is one problem that tech companies should address, because low light imaging in the mid-end budget smartphones are not that brilliant after all. Now, up front, of course, Gionee has provided with a 5 megapixel camera for taking those perfect selfies, and trust me guys, the images from the front-facing camera are pretty good. They're better than the primary camera images of the Moto G. So you can just imagine the kind of selfies that you'll be able to take, and those selfies really come out good on the Gionee Elife S5.5. Now, here's the real deal with the Gionee Elife S5.5. Under the hood, it's powered by an MTK MT6592 octa-core processor. The architecture of this processor is ARM Cortex-A7, and what that boils down to is that you get 8 cores of seamless power and 8 cores of power to exploit on the smartphone every single time. To back it up, it's also got 2 GB of RAM on it. So the multitasking on this smartphone, the graphic rendering on this smartphone, the gaming experience on this smartphone is actually very good for the price bracket that this phone comes under. Now all this means one thing, that this is a powerhouse smartphone in the price tag that it has to offer. But don't be fooled by the 8-core, octa-core gimmick that most of the companies are giving these days. It is still not as powerful as a quad-core processor on many of the high-end smartphones that are available these days, such as the Sony Xperia Z2 or the HTC One M8. But yes, it delivers on the money when it comes to power and performance. For 22,900 rupees, I think this is one of the best performing smartphones in the market right now. There were no issues seen by us, there were no lags while playing games, there were no problems at all while multitasking on this smartphone. The phone is responsive to every single gesture or an app that you want to fire up on this one. So performance-wise, it's a pretty good smartphone for 22,900 rupees. Now here's the catch. Gionee concentrated a lot in making this smartphone thin. And where they compromised was on the battery department. It has a non-removable 2300 milliampere battery, and the battery management system on the Gionee Elife S5.5 is not that great. It won't last you 1 or even 1.5 days. It will at max last you just for about 18 to 20 hours. So the battery is one growing area of concern on the Gionee Elife S5.5. And that is one issue with this smartphone, that this is not a marathon runner when it comes to the battery backup. Now, Gionee Elife S5.5 is like any other mid-budget smartphone. It offers decent spec, a not so extraordinary camera, and of course, the battery backup on this one is not that great as well. But here's the differentiating factor. The phone just looks beautiful. They've actually made it look very premium, and the thinness of 5.5 millimeters really gives it that edge over many other smartphones present in this price range. So if you are looking for a smartphone for its design, for its premium fit and finish, well, this is the one to go for. But if you are looking for a smartphone for a good camera and a good battery life, well, you can give this one a skip for now.